I'll call the meeting to order,
And we're being,
filmed by DC, Dartmouth Community Media. So the meeting will be recorded. We're going to take a few things out of order because we're waiting for the chair. We have an invoice for $120 for the Paid Narrum Village sign. We approved it at the last meeting, so I guess the procedure now is for each of us to sign it.
so one of us should make a motion to approve paying the money to that and then second it before we sign it. I believe
making a
that's
mo-
the way it goes.
Can I make a motion? Can I make a motion that we accept the bill to reimburse the person who used the funds?
Is it going to you or to signature? Directly to you, Linda? I'm sorry, I didn't realize that. I thought we were paying signature signs. But they did the work, and we approved the $120 expenditure at last month's meeting, so I guess we're just
So I'll second it.
have a motion, and all those in favor?
All right,
Okay, so
Just somewhere down in that space.
just anywhere on the bottom? Okay.
You wanna-
Put it on the side of it too.
did you sign it?
I didn't because I have a pencil. So,
You want a pen?
no, I have, but Christina just passed me hers. Okay, thanks. So now I guess we can vote on the approval of the minutes for the meeting from June 2nd.
Move to approve the minutes?
Second the motion.
I can't, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Well, that moved things along pretty quickly. Um, So did I ask if we, all in favor?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so next is,
The demo applications.
Yep.
And then we have some other business. I don't know if you wanted, I guess we should wait for Robert for that, for those items.
okay, so can we start with, maybe we'll go in reverse, 94 McCabe Street?
Under any other businesses where we want to discuss the invoice that was just signed, so that'll help that with the minutes.
Okay,
Put that under the minutes,
Yep.
under any other business.
well,
Say that
there's,
again?
okay, well,
Put the invoice under other business
Yeah.
when you
Oh, yeah.
do the minutes, she was saying.
And then, this one should go first. This should go first.
Well,
Because it's never passed. Right, and because it's never notified.
okay. We'll let Robert take it.
Hello, I'd like to call this meeting of the,
well, we're already moving.
Oh, you're already moving?
Moved along. so-
okay, all right, did you
We
did you
did
announce
the
the recording?
minutes, we did the minutes, the recording, and
Oh,
we
okay.
approved the $120 expenditure for the Paid Narrum Village sign, which is on the,
Right, okay. Is that sign two-sided?
No,
Okay.
It looks fantastic.
It does look fantastic. Oh, that sign, yes, okay. That's great. So, are we still on that?
No,
Yep. We were just about to hit all the demo applications.
All right, well, I just will say that I went to the select board meeting last, whatever it was, Wednesday, whatever it was, and secured their permission to mount the sign, either on the Water Street side of the Harbor Masters building, or mounted like the sign that's there now, with 2 posts on the gravel, which would be much more prominent. So we can talk about that more and what makes sense. And then also the town said that they would install it for us, which is great. So that is good. Okay, good. So now we're on the 801 Rocket Dundee, is that correct? Okay, good. So thanks for coming. When you get up there, please just give your name and announce what part of the transaction you are and all that kind of stuff.
Thank you.
It'll just be floor plans and elevations
Thank you.
of the project. How you doing? My name's Mike. I work with RP Valois, and we were hired by Marcy and John Cashman that bought this property about a year ago. We're working with them to just make it their dream home. So if you go on the first page, you'll see the existing floor plan of the house. You'll see that there's a connector and a garage that will be completely demoing everything, the structure, foundation. It's an old stone, old CMU block foundation, which I don't think it was original. But anyways, we're demoing that, and then we're going back with a new connector and 2-car garage. We're also going to be renovating the entire inside and outside of the house with adding 2 doghouse dormers on the front with 1 shed dormer on the west side of the house where their master bedroom will be.
Okay.
You can go to the 4th page to see the elevation of what it's going to look like. My eyes, it's a typical cape with some dormers, with a new connector and 2-car garage. But that's pretty much what we're going to be doing.
Thank you.
Yep. There's some pretty pictures too, if you go all the way to the back, with some color. I also took some photos, well, I got them off Google Maps, of 3 houses that are built in roughly the same year, with the doghouse dormers on it. So that's all we're gonna be doing. One's actually not too far from the property. It's 842 Rockadundy Road. It's a beautiful white cape with 2 doghouse dormers off the front of the house.
I never heard that term before, but I like it. Fits. The existing garage built after 1950, is that right?
I believe it was. I came into the building department to look at the field folder, and they have no info on that property.
Oh.
So
Okay.
I don't know exactly what year it was built in, but just by the looks of it, it wasn't original.
Okay. Any questions from the group this far? So aside from any interior work being done, you're just going to
We're stripping everything
Strip
down to
everything
the
down,
bones.
okay.
With all new windows, all new siding.
Right.
We're staying with white cedar shingles, so, it will still look, in 25 years, it will gray out and look like what it looks like now. Actually, a lot better, but,
Okay, all right, good. And then the new garage is also connecting as a passageway
Yep.
from the house? Okay.
yep.
Is this property in the village district? Historic district?
I don't believe it is. I don't know.
It's a good question. I'd have to look at some correspondence, but if it's not, it's right on the edge of the historic district, the Russell's Mills Historic District. I think this is actually in an area that's a little bit no. Okay, we're hearing no from the.
No, I'm looking at it.
Crowd. Okay. Okay.
It's not in the district because of the age, or it's not in the district because it's not in the district?
I think it's the geography. I mean, it's not old, but the
Right.
geography would say the limit of the district is somewhat closer to the district than what that house is.
I'm looking at where it is on the map.
There's a lot of land. There's like 3 properties before it gets to that district, I believe.
It's farther down the road. I can't put an overlay on it, but it seems to me, given where I can picture where the end of the district is, I think it's outside, it's outside it. But I can pull up the overlay if you want.
Do you have an overlay?
I can get to it. It might take me a minute.
Sure.
I don't think so.
I guess we think it's not, that the whole procedure would be a bit different if it was. Then you would be coming to see a different board, but.
Yep.
But I know it's, as I said, within 3 properties, but pretty close. Any other questions, Phil or Beth?
I have to abstain,
Oh, okay, all right,
because I put the permit in.
all right, I hear you. I tell you what, I have no questions. I would just sort of pending this last.
I'm trying to
review here.
find that information right now on.
Yeah.
Google's not being fast enough for me.
Yeah, what is the Wi-Fi password here? I'm having trouble with that.
Public internet.
Michelle would know.
Okay,
Wi-Fi password?
Public internet,
I think I did that, but okay.
all lowercase.
Oh, that's the password, okay, got it.
Maybe we could come back to the
Okay,
vote?
yeah.
If you want me to continue to look.
Okay. Sorry, these ones on the back are houses that are similar?
Those are houses that are similar to what we're gonna be building, so it has the same dormers off the front of the house, it's just so you can kind of see
Oh,
what,
right.
you know, what we're doing.
Okay,
And
so-
one house is 4 properties from
Mm-hmm.
801,
Yeah, I see what you mean about the 842.
yes.
Okay.
I found the commission, but I can't find the map showing it yet. I'm sorry. Is,
Aren't all the properties listed by address on the Macris,
They should be, but I,
according to the, like, the area.
probably, I could try that too. I know I found it on the GIS page for Dartmouth too. I know there's a layer for it.
Michelle, what is the SSID for the internet? Is it DTH5 or is it public? Or,
I believe it's public.
okay, I tried public and then public internet, and it just did not work, but.
Linda has.
Linda, I'm sorry, go ahead.
What's the address, Mike?
801 Rockadundy.
The original real estate listing for the sale, which, as you said, took place last year, says situated on the scenic outskirts of the historic Russell's Mills Village. Is how the
Mhm.
sales listing showed.
Okay.
The property at 842 Rockadundy that's included in that package, that is in the historic district, and there was a review of that property last week.
Right, okay. So while Chris is doing this, just give me a second to pull something up that might be
Right,
useful.
I found it on Macris. It's DARJ. And it does not appear to be that far down at all, given where the overlay is for the Slocum's River.
Is it on the Slocum River?
No.
So 842 is within the district, and that's 842 Rockadundy.
I think they've already, the
Sale.
district already had a meeting, the district commission, about that property. That's what I understood.
And 847, so that's all much further up than 801, isn't it?
Yep.
I'll have to look, I mean, it's not showing an overlay of the street signs, so.
Okay,
Are they gonna,
done.
yeah,
Yes.
are they gonna convert all these little homes that are situated around where they're building? Is this gonna be like a farm kind of, are they gonna look into more,
Is who going to do that?
whoever's?
No, I
building?
think he's going to do what he said. It's up to the owners of the homes to, if they want to make
Okay.
alterations. It's, there is a discrepancy, I think I said to you guys before, that working with Ross Cuddy about, but it's hard for me to tell based on the comparison, where this is. But I guess I think we,
Can I
please,
add?
please, yeah, Linda.
I just spoke to the prior owner, it's not in the historic district.
Okay, that's pretty, I think, pretty consequential. Thank you for tracking it down to an original source of sorts.
Well, the real source we should be paying attention to is the listings on Macris, right?
That is true, but I think because, in my understanding, when I talked to the Macros tech guy about a month ago about the district, they did not have, at least he couldn't tell me, he couldn't point me to a comprehensive listing of the addresses that are contained within it, because he said there are discrepancies because of rezoning at the town level.
Oh,
So that's why I'd say we've got two different maps that we're comparing. And he said, I don't have, and neither does Ross Cuddy at planning. Does not have a comprehensive list of the, it seems kind of strange that there would not be a list of all the addresses of the homes contained within the district, but,
There used to be, in the building department. There was a list Wojciechowski has it, so I could,
so he could not, when I talked to him about 3 weeks ago, he couldn't point me to a comprehensive list of addresses. He says, well, there's that poster that's hanging in the building department, which is right here,
Yeah.
but that's all I got.
yeah, that's all there ever was.
Yeah. Well, but this is not a listing of addresses.
But it had, they did have the addresses at one time.
Okay. I think it's a little bit TBD, but do you have a better option for tracking this one down?
I have it on Macris right now, and it's very clearly not in DARJ, which is the Russell's Mills Historic District.
Right, okay.
Definitively.
So we've just proved what you said. I was just
Amen.
making sure, I hear, because we've run into this before, and I know I'm kind of new to this commission, and we went ahead and had a discussion and debate, and eventually voted on a property that then had to go do the same thing with the district, so. I have no more questions for you. Anybody else?
Make a motion?
Okay, go ahead.
Make a motion that they go ahead with their project?
Well, what you want to do is you want to cite the HDPR number on the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, HDPR 25-15, 801 Rockadundy Road built, project that is participating in tonight's meeting shall go forward.
Okay.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mike, thanks for coming in, I appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
And thanks for so helpfully providing all this
You guys can keep them.
paperwork. Oh, this is going to be great. Thanks again. Thanks for coming in, Mike.
I can see if I can try to find that list.
You know what, as I said, I talked to Ross, I talked to this guy, Peter, at
Yeah.
Macris at the state level, he says, we don't have it like that. And I think they've got an approximation of 90% of it, but they said because of local rezoning in the last 15 or so years, things have moved. And so that's, and it might have been all in one area, but looking at the comparison of the maps, it's not all in one area.
How would zoning change where the historic district is?
Well, I think zoning, I don't know this, but my supposition is zoning was tied originally to properties. If properties have been divided, and some of them are inside or outside the historic area, this is just what they told me. So, and he pointed to zoning at the local level as being the reason why. So, do you know, Greg? No, okay. Okay. You're just so smart, I just figured, you probably know, yeah. Okay, great. Let's bring up now HDPR 25-20, 449 Elm Street.
Thank you, folks. Greg Jones, architect for Allison and Adam Cove. They own 449 Elm Street. I was here about a month or so ago for Phase 1, which was to replace windows on 3 sides of the building. So that process is ongoing. They've ordered the windows. We're going into Phase 2 now, which the major part of Phase 2 that you guys get involved with, on the back of the property, there was a big 2-story addition built, I'm guessing around 1970, that they want to tear off because they don't need the space, the house is too big, and it's sort of an ugly addition off the tail end of the building. And since you guys probably have not been to the back side of that building, you don't really know what it looks like, and it's not terribly attractive. So this is the piece here that they would like to get rid of. It's a bedroom down below and a bathroom and another little study on the second floor. But the problem with it is, this is the master bedroom up here, and there's a nice view of their backyard out this back wall, if this building wasn't there. So the major chunk of this project is to take that piece off. And then in addition to that, they want to take off this sort of non-traditional bay window, replace it with a more traditional window, I'm losing track of where they are, 2 windows in keeping with the rest of the house, no more bay window. Rearrange these 4 windows here, make them 3 windows in the master bedroom. They'd like to add a screen porch off this lower level. There's going to be a mud room, sort of junk room, laundry room down here. So they like to add a screen porch off the back. They want to replace this batch of 3 windows with a large French door. Replace this batch of sort of non-traditional windows with 3 double-hung windows, more in keeping with the rest of the house. This is a picture of, it's probably hard to see from where you're sitting, but the red dashed lines are the carbuncle that we want to get rid of. I mean, what's left is not beautiful either. It's a garage that was built, again, probably in the 60s, but it is what it is, and they do use the garage, so that's gonna stay. Couple of other things to bring to your attention. On the driveway side, there's a long driveway bringing it into the backyard. There's another sort of bay window we want to get rid of and replace it with a 6/6 double hung windows, in keeping with the 3 other 6/6 windows in the original portion of the old house.
Greg, is that picture facing north?
This is the north elevation, yes. Yep. The other sort of minor change from when I came in last time, we desperately want to get rid of this circle top window here. So I had come in with a window combination with just a graceful arch and a large double hung center window, 2 smaller double hungs flanking it. Well, that came in at $17,000. So I'm proposing we come back to something a little simpler, 2 double hung windows with an arch. These are in fact stock Marvin windows, so it'll bring the cost down to about $6,000. I think it looks better than what's there. Not quite as nice as the first go-round, but it was really just crazy money to do that. What else? The garage is staying as it is. There's a door here, it's staying. We're gonna replace a window here, so all the windows at the end of the day will be Marvin Reserve aluminum-clad wood double hung windows. So that's the gist of the project.
Well, I like that you're getting rid of some of the eyesores on there.
Yeah, these people are really into the historic nature of the house, and they just, there's only 2 of them with a baby on the way, and it's just ginormous, and that whole backside they have no use for.
I believe it was their parents who came in front of us a couple months ago for a plaque.
Oh, could be,
So
yep.
we did a lot of investigation on this.
Yep.
And I think their parents helped them with the house.
Yep.
So anyway, it's great.
Yep.
Any questions?
Is there anything worth salvaging from the addition?
Not really, it's all 70s Brosco cheap wood windows, rotted. The flooring is your traditional, thin red oak strip. Really not, nothing like the stuff in the original portion of the house. It's just builder grade sort of stuff.
Bev, Phil, any other questions? Chris? And none from me.
I make a motion to approve HDPR 25-20 at 449 Elm Street for the renovations that were proposed here.
And I'll second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Greg, thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much,
Appreciate it.
guys. Enjoy your evening.
Being so prepared. Okay, now we're going to entertain HDPR 25-19, 87 Potter Street. Did you?
Well, yeah, but I'm the contract, but the homeowner, they won't be able to attend.
I see, okay.
They already emailed the inspector and let them know the situation that they won't be able to be here. But they did mention to me that the small entrance, that they do want to get rid of the small entrance. I think that was the issue. One of the small entrance of the house, not the main.
Okay. So, I'm sorry, that you said that the homeowners talked to,
The inspector.
I'm sorry,
He called me, left a message on Thursday afternoon, late Thursday, and told me that he wasn't able to come to the meeting tonight. That he thought he had applied to historical, he thought he had applied to building, that he didn't have to apply to historical.
They made a mistake.
He made, but the house is 77 years old.
77 years old, yeah. Thank you. Well, he has to. Yeah, just, it's by a very small amount, but, so, I think that we, have they submitted all the materials that they will need for historic? Do you know? Do you know?
No.
No, do you know,
I'm confused. It has an HDPR number, and it tells you, explains what they intend to do. If that's any different, is it any different than what?
No.
No.
okay, then we could talk about this tonight. do you want to talk through a little bit about, just about what you're going to be doing?
Well, no, because I don't know what the situation was. I'm gonna be the contractor who's gonna build it, but I don't know what the issue was. They decided to put the permits themselves.
Right.
What he told me was that they made a mistake and they applied. You know, and then he mentioned something about the small entrance of the house that was gonna be removed, one of the entrance. I guess that was an issue, but other than that, I don't know.
The way it's written for us is that you, I guess, will be removing a 6x4 entryway
Yes.
and adding a 14x14 addition to replace shingles with siding.
Correct, that's what we're gonna do.
So,
They have not applied for a building permit as of yet.
Oh, then why is there an HDPR but not a RBP?
Thought he was supposed to, he was applying for a building permit, but somehow he applied for historical.
Okay,
On the phone, he told me he made a mistake,
okay.
but it was already too late, because this is already on the agenda and already posted. So I wasn't touching it Monday when I came
Yeah,
in,
okay.
today when I came in,
Today's Monday.
whatever day it is.
Well, I think that the normal course of events is that when he applies for building permit, and the house is, it's built in 1948, so it's 77 years old, that will signal the workflow to open an HDPR, historical permit review, and then kind of concurrent with the building request. And then normally they would come in front of the board and just submit their plans and talk through what they're going to be doing. So I guess even though we have plans here, I guess it seemed like there's not a great deal of hurry if you haven't applied for a building permit yet. I guess my preference would be to have them come back next month after they apply for a building permit, and we'll just table this for the time being,
Okay.
and talk to it then. Is that-
Okay, I'll let them know.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Could I get what's your name, please?
Oh, Adolfo Pereira.
Aldolfo?
Yeah, Pereira.
Okay.
With a Y, not an I.
Pereira?
Okay.
Pereira with a Y.
How do you spell that?
Yeah, P-E-R-E-Y-R-A.
Oh, P-E-I.
R-E-Y-R-A.
Okay, so I'd like to get a motion that we table this HDPR 25-19 until next month.
So moved.
One second.
All in favor? Thank you for coming in, I appreciate that, and we'll, this should be taken care of in short order next month.
All right, thank you.
Building permit first, okay?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, bye.
Okay, HDPR 25-21, 94 McCabe Street. That must be you.
I have this huge sample. I just got called today, actually by my contractor to come in.
Okay,
I'm just redoing the kitchen and the bathroom at my house, and I want to have the house re-sided.
okay,
This is the cedar shingle impressions that we're going to use. This is actually the color. This is the original color of the house. The house was built by my great-grandparents. I thought 1939 was the date, but I'm seeing 34 is the date because I found pictures of them outside with it built.
can I see that?
Yeah, sure.
First, that's so good, so.
Yeah, you know the thing, I saw that.
So this is impressions, is that right?
Yep.
Okay. Everybody else knows what this looks like, it feels like? Okay. It's new to me, but I know that I certainly have heard the
It's
term.
probably the most expensive thing you can buy right now. It's outrageous.
More than,
It's probably like 40 grand for me to do my house in this stuff. It's a lot. It's not cheap. Yes, it's one of the cheapest, the most expensive things to do to the house right now.
okay.
But it's
Worse than cedar shingles, huh?
I think so.
Well, Greg would know
Yeah, he
exactly,
would've.
but yeah. And then remodel kitchen and bath on the outside or on the inside? It's an interior project?
It's an interior
Okay,
project.
great,
where I'm
that's
just doing
out of our
that.
purview, okay.
Yeah.
Are there any questions about this project? No? Okay.
Oh, one thing, I did notice that it said in the, on the plans that were uploaded to the portal, which were great, that you're also going to remove the chimney.
Yes, because they're gonna put in, they're actually gonna like knock down all the walls, and then they're going to, put in a big beam, so that it's like an open floor plan.
That's what
Right
I
now,
saw
it's
that.
like tiny little, you know, the tiny little rooms. So we're just opening it up.
Okay.
So that the kitchen and the living room will be open, but this chimney is right in the middle of the house, so they're gonna have to revent it out.
Okay. Oh, I definitely know this house. Yeah. Okay. Any further questions? Okay, great. I'd like to get a motion on this HDPR 25-21.
I make a motion to approve HDPR-25-21, 94 McCabe Street, as proposed on the demolition permit.
I second the motion.
All in favor? Thank you for coming in.
Thanks so
And good
much.
luck with the project,
Yeah,
okay?
thanks.
I appreciate you bringing that heavy thing in
Yeah,
there.
no kidding. Sorry, it's so ginormous.
Okay, so two more things remaining, I guess, is the,
Thanks. See you later.
see you later. I think you guys all got a copy of the new application for historic plaques that we sent out, and I got some feedback from some of you, which I think I incorporated into a final. If that's good to go, then we'll go ahead and just start using it. You can, I guess we can PDF it and you can just have it on hand. One thing I'd like to talk about a little bit is the process once an application comes in. Because I don't know what's been done in the past, but I felt like I was underprepared and I had not done the historical research to verify the validity of the plaque application as I should have done. And sometimes that requires, I think, you know, if it's not in Macris, but you're going to the records in Bristol County. But what has this board done in years past to verify application for a plaque?
Nothing.
Okay.
No, I'm gonna contradict that.
Well, you contradicted, but before you came aboard, they did nothing. They would apply for the plaque, they would sign off, everybody would agree on it, and then the circa, the dates and all that, they were never done accurately. And Plant made a remark about it when he was an advisor, that the information that was on some of the plaques didn't jive with what the house was.
What is the time period, Phil, roughly, of that way of looking at this?
You sent me down to take care of something. I got something that I finished today.
Okay.
And there's a lot of work to this. There is a person that makes $89,000 that does this, and it isn't me. And it's a lot of time consuming.
I just want to understand, when did you observe that background research not being
Well, I
done?
was on the commission from '08, so '08, '09, '10, all the way through. So they would have these applications that people would carry with them wherever they lived, and then if somebody saw them, they said they wanted a plaque put in, and they would give it to them, and then they would come and submit it.
Okay, so that's not a good way of doing things. It sounds like, Sue, could you talk about what you think is the best way to do this going forward?
Well, I mean, prior to, I don't know what time period, but Judy, Linda, Diane Gilbert, they all, it's just part of the whole volunteer culture that if an application came in, you would try to at least look, at the very least, look at the information from Macris, and then if it required more information, you would go to the Registry of Deeds. I've only done one since I've been on the commission, and it was for Puritan Street.
Okay, so Macris is kind of the source of truth we look at first and foremost, and then if nothing is there, or if we have any kind of reason to think it might be otherwise, or the building owner has claimed otherwise, then certainly the records department, the Bristol County Records Department would be another source. I'm sorry,
And the information that's in the historical commission office in the file for that particular location. In some cases, there's an old Form B from the 80s. There might be a more recent one from 2010. So you kind of look at all the information that you have available, including assessors records and all that. But as Sue kind of alluded to, Judy Lund had quite a bit of knowledge of different buildings based on her own research through the Whaling Museum
right,
and all of the databases that she was constructing or part of. So I think we relied on Judy's knowledge
Okay.
of a lot of the town's buildings and other documents that she had access to through the Whaling Museum, and that she kind of concurred or disagreed with whatever other information may have been available.
okay.
But Philip's right, to do deed research, that's someone who has to have trained, skilled knowledge. It's not something that you just pick up and do in a day. There's a lot of work to understanding and processing through deeds going back 150 or 200 years.
Right. Is there any reason why there would be a discrepancy from what might be in a file in the office and what's on Macris?
A lot.
There could be a discrepancy, but hopefully that's not a huge discrepancy. 20 years is typical.
Okay,
75 years, maybe not as typical.
okay. Okay, can we assume that in all cases, if the property is in Macris, that the work has been done on a Form B inventory?
If it's in Macris, there should be a Form B.
Okay, and that we can go off that with no other questions asked? Potentially, is it?
I mean, we have examples of Form Bs that were done really well, and then there were examples of Form Bs that weren't done quite so well. So if we can make that distinction, once you start looking at the information, then I think I don't know. I don't know how close to the truth anybody wants to get, or if it's just.
Well, I would like to get as close to the truth as possible, given the resources we have. It just seems like, why not? But I guess what I'm trying to establish is just an order of verification. And so maybe it's the easy thing down the hall, take a look at the office when an application comes in, then go to Macris, and then we can go to take a look at assessor's records. Beyond that, it seems that by that point, we've done our due diligence. You think? Yes,
I
Chris?
also think that it can be apparent which Form Bs were done better than others just by taking a quick look at them. And if you see that the only thing that they're relying on is the old town maps from, 1851 and 75 or whatever, 78, whatever they are. If that's the only source that the person is using, Form B, then it's worth doing some more digging.
Okay.
If there seems to be a lot more in the way of material that was accessed to establish a date, I think you might be more confident in going with that Form B.
Okay.
I mean, even, for example, to Christina's point, Old Westport Road, the house that we've gotten an application for, there's a statement in the Form B that talks about, well, we think it was a tavern because of the two doors on the front of the structure. It's like, well, but it doesn't say who said it, or there's not enough information there.
Nothing verifiable there.
Right.
Yes, Philip?
Well, I've got some information that was completed today on who's and how many lots that these people own on that site. And I just finished that today, so it's in here.
Thank you, Phil, I appreciate that. I didn't realize that you were working on that, so I appreciate
I'm
that.
still working on it since last month, so.
Okay, so another question, just to pivot a little bit, how much of the burden of this research should go on us versus the homeowner applicant?
homeowner should know more about their house than we do.
Okay? That's one opinion. Anybody else have opinions? Yes, Chris?
Yeah, I think as the commission, I think it falls on our additional expertise perhaps. Just because you own an old house doesn't necessarily mean that you can look into the records and have an accurate view. So I would say that it would be helpful to have any records that the homeowner wanted to share, but that we should be the ones signing off on that we've looked at Macris and whatever other sources were necessary to get the most accurate date possible.
I think Sue had a point to make, or maybe not. No? Okay, Philip?
This is a lot. Who's gonna be the lamb that goes to registry and spends a high
Right.
amount of
So I was gonna get to
time
that.
going through all the binders down there, tracking down, and how far back do you wanna go? Someone told me 1777 or 1700s to look up the building that I was working on. And it only goes up to 1912 in the registry, but I mean, I could probably dig deeper to find out how far back you want to go.
Okay.
And then, on the plaques, how far back do you want the dates to go to?
Well, it's not a subjective thing, it's objective. So how far back you want to go is as far back as we have records to accurately describe, the building of the home. There's no date there's no target we're looking for. I think that, based on what you said, Chris, I think that is probably true that if we said, hey, the burden is on the homeowner, then that wouldn't give us any time to do the verification work that we need to do once they, bring it in. I think that we should assume that the burden is on us as a commission to do the work, which I think makes, because Phil, if somebody else does the work, we can't verify it. We want to make sure it's accurate.
Yeah, but how many months are you gonna work on a verification of their building? We only meet like once a month. So are we gonna work on our own through the next meeting?
I think we all do that anyway, right? We all do that anyway. I know that all of us here on the commission, we're volunteers, and we work in between meetings to get things done. So I think, to my mind, and we should certainly talk about this, that is probably what should be done, is that as soon as we get an application, we might have to establish that when we get an application for a plaque, that if less than maybe 3 weeks exists before the next meeting, we have to have it tabled for the following meeting. I don't think there's any urgent plaque need. So that seems like a fair thing to me, is that we don't have to hustle to do all the verification work in 2 weeks or something like that. Maybe we should establish a cutoff, like if they're less than 3 weeks before the next DHC meeting, then we just let them know that we're going to be talking about their plaque at the following meeting. Does that make sense? Or does that seem like an undue burden?
I think you have to really base it on the age of the building as well, because the work that I did on a house that was built in the late 20s would pale by comparison to Old Westport Road, which has a date of, late 1700s. So I would think that that would.
It was a tougher providence to figure out. Took a lot more record keeping to look through and such.
Well, no, I mean, just the fact that you have to go back and we have to do some deed reading, and I didn't get to confirm the date or the potential date of construction until I was able to find that they had taken out a loan, which you can assume was for a house, because the property, it was just an open lot.
So I think what you're saying is that there's a wide range of
Correct.
complication involved. That is very, very true. Is the 3 week minimum something that you think is fair and would take care of even the hardest cases? Hey, if you had less than
No.
no, got to take.
You need 2 months.
2 months, 2 months, okay, all right. Well, 3 weeks that would push it to the next month, so you'd have a month plus 3 weeks, but, okay, that seems very fair. I don't want to, put any, any cause for sloppiness or for crazy running around with all of our schedules on any of us, but I think that the work will probably fall to, first of all, there aren't that many requests for plaques. I mean, I think this is like 3 since I've joined the board, so it's not a ton. But I want to just make something that in general, that we're hearing 2 months, that to me, that sounds fine, because if the building's existed for that long, there's no plaque urgency, right? It just seems to me. So, but I want to get something that we can all agree on, a time period that we allow ourselves in order to do this research and feel confident about it.
I got one more question. I didn't do this research. I had, a friend of mine did it for me. I could have never done any of this. But anyway, she did it to show me how much time it takes to do it. And I went down today and someone helped me find a few more pages. Now, I've got all the deeds in here. This is all the deeds of this property on Old Westport Road. Now, if you don't want to believe me, then that's your problem. So anyway.
Wait, we don't,
now,
I don't think that was a.
Well, anyway, so if I put this file back into the file in the office, is that where you want it? Or is this going to be worked on to get the plaque to Old Westport Road?
I'm sorry, I'm blanking on Old Westport Road. Do we have an application for a plaque there? We do, okay. Was it last month?
Yeah, and I just finished the plaque,
Okay.
this package that I didn't get it to you. So
Okay.
basically, it's ready.
So the answer to your question, Phil, is yes, it should go in our office.
Okay.
I guess a question that I have is, if we're doing this work, it seems reasonable that we should make copies and have a copy of it, but is really, at the end of the day, is it as good or not almost as good to simply be able to say, yes, we did the work, we verified, this is the date, we can all agree on, I've got the paperwork, or I can go copy it, but do we need to have all the paperwork? Like, for example, should we be giving copies to the homeowner? That kind of thing. What are people's thoughts on that?
Well, the real estate agents are the ones that have most of, a real estate agent did this for me. So basically, she did it in, like, she came to work on our house, and she came in the morning, and then she came back and she had this prepped for me.
Well,
Okay, so
who she is not important, but where she got it from.
She got it off of whatever her
off of-
source was.
That's the thing we don't know. So we're assuming it's Macris, or else she went to Bristol County. In Bristol County, the records are not digitized before a certain date.
It's all listed in here.
I understand, but we don't know what her source is. And she may be really well-skilled at this, and I would be surprised if it was some source we didn't know about, but she may have made it look very easy when maybe it wasn't.
Well, do you want this?
I do, but not right now. I want to finish this discussion right now. We've talked about do we all think that it's an important part of the research process for the plaque to make copies, have them in a folder, put them in the office, or is it as important simply to verify this is the oldest date that we could find a record for? Maybe I'm asking a dumb question, but do we want to show our homework?
I think we
Yes.
should,
Okay,
yes.
fair
I
enough,
don't see
that's good.
any downside to that.
I think that's probably true.
I also don't know that, I'm curious why we need to have a time limit. I mean, obviously, we want to do it as quickly as possible and give the people the plaque that they would like to have. However long the research takes, it takes. Nobody wants to hold it up. But it might be a factor of who's on vacation that month, or who's, out sick, or who has the time to do it. Even, when COVID came up, you can't get into the registry and things like that. So I'm not sure that it's so important to put a time limit on it. I think the most important thing is to find the documents, have copies in our files, even if they're taking photographs and printing the photographs of the book of deeds, especially, especially going back and creating that paper trail, if the homeowner wants a copy of it, then I wouldn't see any harm in giving them that information. But I think we are the holder of the documents that are the history of the buildings in Dartmouth, and so.
It's finite at some
We should
point.
have it.
So I was not proposing that we create a put a time limit on it, but
Okay.
more that we afford, how much time should we afford ourselves for it? So I think what we're saying is when an application comes in, it comes to us, we will let Michelle know, hey, we've done the research, you can schedule for this month, and if the homeowner asks about it, you can ask us, but we have it might be 3 weeks, but it might be 2 months or more. So I think that's probably a cadence that we can live with.
Are we all gonna work on this together?
Well, I haven't gotten to that yet, so I just want to table that for a second, Mr. Sue.
I think I just lost it. No, I think that, I agree with Christina that there shouldn't be a time limit, but I also believe that if somebody, if an address comes up, an application comes up and it's 124 Lucy Little Road, then, and somebody says, oh, I'll do it, then you need to provide an update the next month.
I think that's
So
really
it
fair.
doesn't drag out for a year.
That's a good idea.
And
Okay.
then you can always say to the homeowner, so-and-so's working on it, we've gotten so much information, but we still need to do some additional
Okay,
research.
and I think that update maybe should be part of the meeting, part of the public record. But when time comes to, hey, we've got the information we want, it's time for the homeowner to come in, and which could be a good thing, could be a handoff of paperwork, that kind of thing. Then we'll let you know when it becomes part of the agenda then, at that point. Okay. Yes, Phil?
Is the plaques gonna be on Macris? And will they be in the web so that people who apply for their plaques can see the progress part of the plaques progress, so that they know they can put a date in their head when they can put it, and then who's gonna order it? I'm
Somebody stop right there.
lost here.
So who's going to order it? On the application form, it says that the homeowner is responsible for going to the shop, paying the money, and getting the plaque.
Right.
We verify what the date is and if there's any name for the house. But it's totally on the homeowner to go and do that. They will take care of that, and it's right on the form. They can take
So
care of that.
all we're interested in is the name and the date that's gonna go on the plaque.
That's right. But having all the background information to be able to firmly establish the date and have verification of the provenance of this home, that is all the background work that doesn't always show up. That date is in dispute, and as we all know from doing this for a while. So that's it. What was the first part of your question was, is it going to be a Macris? Now, Macris is a state system, and it's not going to be that. I think the system is going to be if the homeowner wants an update, they can send an email. And they can ask about it, which is what I've gotten emails from plaque requesters, just, hey, what's the update on this kind of thing? And so, anyway, I think that's the way it should be. Ms. Beth.
I just have a quick question. So why can't the homeowner, because if you get copies, you have to pay for them, and they're not, the price isn't getting any cheaper. Why can't the homeowner be responsible for going to the Registry of Deeds and doing the research if they want the plaque? Because it will be on there. I mean, you're gonna have copies, all right? If they want it that bad, they should do the research themselves, bring it in. I mean, you can tell that when you get the paperwork, that it comes from the registry and it has all the information on there and it's regarding that property.
And it can be pricey at the registry too, to copy items.
Beth just said that. I think, so a couple things. One is we could make a fee to apply that would cover the cost of copies and that kind of stuff, and maybe of gas, maybe $25 to apply for this. Just throwing that out there as a possibility. I'm not sure if it's legal.
I think you have to go, don't you have to go through town, if you add a fee, don't you have to go through the town? And it has to.
Meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, it wasn't a money-making scam, but maybe that's not gonna work. But the other part of it, what you said, Bev, I think it's true that if something is copied from, I mean, we can make that request that we could say on the form, maybe it's a good thing to say on the form, that if the homeowner, wants to take part in this or wants to speed it along, point out the avenues for research for them to do it. And then when they submit the application to us, if they've got copied pages from the assessor's records, for example, then I guess the question is, can we assume that they went back as far as needs be? I don't always know. They might have said, hey, these books are huge. I'm tired. My arms are tired. I want to stop in 1828, but it goes back further than that. There's another C book number or whatever. So I don't know how we would verify, because that becomes a pretty important record for the town. And we're saying, well, it could have been cut off by the homeowner feeling kind of tired that day, not having time.
I think
Just make a
if
digital
it's a
file.
good, if a homeowner has done some of that research, done some deed research and has the copies, and they want to hand it to us and say, here's as far as I got, I think this is the date, then I think the next step is for us to take those documents and just do that last check and really find out, did they go as far?
Okay.
I mean, that would be a great head start.
I agree. And so maybe
Just
if,
kind of double check that and then make sure that there isn't anything more.
so if we add to the form the sources that we would use and that they can use, I mean, they're all public, right?
Right.
And then we ask the applicants to do that. If they don't, then it just means that their applications might take 3 months or so because they just didn't do it. But if they do have, verifiable copies of things there, we still might go back and see if anything can be traced further, because I think that's the right thing to do. But it might give us a shortcut,
Right.
for sure.
Might just be a starting point.
So my plan is to add sources and then ask the applicants to include whatever evidence they have in their application if they haven't already done so. I find that most people who want this kind of thing are at least make an attempt to be conscientious, and they're interested in the history of their building, and some might take bad shortcuts, but I think they're at least trying. But it is our job to verify. And so I think that's what we should do. It doesn't address Phil's question about the expense. And so we have a budget, and I have not tried to, I don't know how hard it is to submit for reimbursement.
Oh, it's not difficult at all.
Yeah, so I think that's,
But you don't have a large budget either, so you have to take that into
yeah,
consideration.
okay, I understand, yes.
And you, I'm sorry.
Please, go on, yeah.
But you should bring that up before your commission to get permission to spend that money. Because Phil was doing his job, he went down the registry of deeds, then he came to the town, sorry Phil, but I'm just gonna voice mine. He came to the town hall and he went to different offices asking how he gets reimbursed. So they don't know, and I explained to Phil he should have come to me, but I wasn't in that day. But it wasn't that important that he couldn't wait another day.
Sure.
But I just think permission should be granted to spend some money, give a budget, don't go over $10, $20, whatever it is. And then I get those receipts, like I did with Linda. She brought me the receipts, I do a voucher, I turn it in for Wednesday, and then within a week or so, she will get reimbursed.
Okay, that's very fair.
Because we have to keep track of that budget, we don't want to go, over
Sure.
budget either.
Phil, what was the most you've spent on researching a house, so we could just put a dollar
I think
figure
it
on
was
it?
$3.
Okay. So do you want to,
Am I right, Phil? 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, it was,
You told me
it was
$3.
2 copies that I got, and it was $1.50 a copy.
wow.
I mean, that's sort of what I wanted to bring up. It's like, how much are we talking here? I mean, you go down to the registry, if you spend a half a day or however much time it amounts to, and you're making a few copies,
Few,
It's-
more, lots.
I don't want to discourage anyone from applying for a plaque. If they think that that's important for them
Yeah, I
and that
agree.
house, then I'm willing to do the research, and if it's under $20, I'm okay with that.
Okay, very fair. So, Phil, you said this is 2 copies this time, but if you know, even just looking up the history of my house, I had to go through like 9, 10 books, each one of those $1.50, so it's not really $3, it could be closer to 20, depending on the kinds of things you have to do. So, I think that let's just put a cap on $20 if you want reimbursement. I don't even think I would bother, but, just speaking for myself, but I think that's probably pretty fair, yeah, and probably takes care of most situations. I'm sorry, Philip?
Can't we have a special account for this? Like, we can't have a special, like, this, the town wouldn't
It's not
provide
worth
it?
it, Phil, it's not,
Oh,
there's
okay.
millions
We don't wanna
and
fight that
millions of
battle.
dollars.
They got other things going on, for sure. Okay, so I'm gonna make some amendments to this form, request, adding the sources. I'll put the URL in there for Macris. I'll talk about asking the applicants to do their work. I also feel the same way you do, Sue, that I want them to have a plaque. I think it looks good for the town. I think I'm happy to do the research. As to your question, Phil, as to who is gonna do the work, I think that what I can do is, if an application comes in, I can sort of float it to the group and sort of say, hey, anybody want to raise their hand on this? And somebody will volunteer, because we're just a bunch of volunteers. We're kind of gluttons for punishment. So, Phil has done an excellent job. The 2 you did last month were outstanding. And
Those were people showing me how you do the research.
Good skills, yeah, absolutely.
They knew what they were doing, and they were people who worked at the Registry of Deeds, because back in my old days, I used to take photos of a lot of parties that a lot of the bosses who worked there, and a lot of these people knew who I was.
Okay.
So basically, I wasn't like a stranger just showing up.
I don't want to have them, doing our work for us in the future. So maybe the next time one comes in, maybe you and I go down there together and we can,
No, I know what you have to, I know what you have to do now.
maybe you could show me more. Because
Because I want to make a copy of this
Okay.
book for a reference for me, for the steps to go. But I want you to have this, to see it, so that you can give that person a plaque at Old Westport Road, but
Okay,
you
very
want
fair.
to verify it.
Okay. Let me table that, and I want to move on to the last thing here. Potential new members. Now, we had a gentleman come in, you might remember last meeting. And I've gotten back to him once. I just said we hadn't had a chance to, consider and review. And so but I do I owe him a full answer. So, we don't have to talk about that particular case right now, but I do want to, there are a couple folks who I thought were gonna come last meeting, did not make it. In fact, and one of them, I think his name is Dan, said, hey, Monday night's 5:30, I'm a business owner, I can't do it then. I asked him if he could do 6:30, he said, sure. But that's just one thing. So I would like to, we've got our new, charter set at 7 members. I'd like to see if we can get a couple more folks on board who are young and energetic enough and interested and have some of the skills and the desire to really contribute to this board. And so to the extent to which, in your travels, you could talk to people and ask them, I'd really like that. I know you have already. And I had a guy who was, as it turns out, was not a full-time town resident, who was excited to do it, but just couldn't do it because he didn't live here full-time. So I'll go back to Dan and his friend. I need to do that. And if, I hate jerking the meeting time around, but if it became important for somebody, does anybody have the interest in moving this meeting to 6:30, or is 5:30 seem like a pretty sweet spot for us?
I love 5:30.
I do too. I gotta tell you.
It'd be great to have some new members, so I wouldn't say no.
Okay.
I still think we should keep looking. I was wondering about Adam Cove.
Sorry?
Adam Cove, who just, they're fixing up their house, they're interested, we should.
Oh, that's a good thought.
Thought.
Maybe
Maybe we should see whether Greg.
have a drive-by,
And
yeah.
have Greg give us any feedback, if he has any people that he deals with, since he does so much work on historic homes.
It's a good thought. But I know that they're young parents,
About to be, yeah.
or about to be, yeah, so that's, all hell's gonna break loose. Okay, yes?
What about putting something on your webpage?
Webpage, we have a webpage? I'm just kidding. I don't know how to
Like
update the
a
webpage.
news flash type thing, write something up and I can have it posted? Looking
Yes,
for
I think it's a good
volunteers,
idea.
Something like that, just,
We had something on the sign out front too about volunteering for boards and things.
right, well, there, you can apply on the town website, but something separate, I'm
Right.
thinking above that.
Well, I think it's a good idea. Yeah, if you.
If you wanna write something up and I'll get it on.
Yes, Sue?
I don't think that I got a revised copy of the application for the historic plaque.
I didn't either. I got the first
A revised
email.
one?
Yeah, because I had made some comments on the
I don't think it's
original.
completed yet.
For which one? 440?
No, just the
Oh,
generic, the
Gotcha, okay, very good. So what I'll do is I'll make these changes and I'll send it around for another review. You take a look at it, make any additions, whatever. I was trying very hard to keep it on 2 pages, front and back kind of thing. I don't want to go beyond that, and I'll just make the font smaller, something like that. But let's do that, and then we'll run it around again, and once we all sign off on it, then we'll go ahead and PDF it, and we'll make it good. I'm just making a little note, just to, I'll write up something about applicants for the, okay, any other business that we have to discuss?
Well, I had a response from Lynn Smilage, and she'll be able to start work the week of July 21st.
That's great. I must have had a little brain cramp here and not remembered that she had other work and couldn't start until August, and you sent me that email today. I appreciate that. So I was just inquiring about the person we've hired to do our inventory. I just want to get a progress update, but it sounds like she'll begin working in the next 2 or 3 weeks on that. And I'm sure we'll get some updates from Chris and Sue about when that'll be completed, later into the fall.
What's
So
your last name?
we're also gonna have a Zoom meeting just to coordinate,
Great.
just to make sure we've got everything nailed down for,
Oh, it's Smilage, it's Smiledge, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, Lynn. That sounds great, that's good, it's a good idea, I like that idea. And I guess, not having done one of these before, how I guess, public is it? She contacts all the homeowners, do we hold any kind of a public meeting that sort of talks about our results at all, or nothing like that, really?
I mean, we could, once the product is completed, but.
Okay.
And it would, ordinarily, it would go to CPC,
Okay,
because they're
Right,
funding it.
that is true.
So they're given a presentation on the work.
by Lynn?
Yep.
Okay,
How
so.
many
and I
houses are,
update them every month.
Okay. I believe that there's the Form A, which is the Smith Camp, which has got multiple buildings in it, and then I think there are 23 Form B buildings. I'm not sure what the exact list was at the end.
that's just for one site, right?
Well, the Form A is just for one site, and then the 23 are for all over town, all around town, different buildings. Thank you for that. And then also, and I mentioned this before, Linda, that I would like to do. Okay, I would like to do, personal preference, be nice to do a front and back sign.
I second that.
Well, I don't, so just give it, if it's mounted on the building, then it's done, basically, just put a little frame around it or something like that. But if we do a couple posts in the ground sign, and I did talk to the Paid Business Association, and they would be very excited to do a 40th anniversary of that Linda brought up, is that this is the 40th anniversary of the village being granted the status of historic, it's different than historic district, but it's historic.
It's national.
National
It's on the
District.
National Register.
National Register, that's what it is, yeah. So, and Paid Narrum Days is in August, and they were excited about the idea of doing something, you know, a mounting and some kind of a celebration,
And-
whatever it is.
And the business, they're gonna be willing to pay for it,
Pay for what?
the sign?
No, I said we already paid for it.
Right, that sign, but
Right.
you're talking
If there's
about a
something extensive-
two-sided?
If there's something that we have to do that's different, then I would ask them to pay for it, absolutely. And they seem like they've got plenty of money. But because we already voted to pay for this and we already used funds, it's done. But if we, so let's talk about that. Is there any interest other than from Robert, and my feelings won't be hurt, to do a two-sided thing mounted on two cedar poles and kind of very much like the other sign that's down there right now? Yes, Phil?
We're gonna make a motion on this?
I want to have some discussion first,
Okay.
okay? Whether we think that's a good idea, so it would involve perhaps more spend, but I would get a PBA to spend for that, and there's enough time between now and, you know, any event that's gonna go on. But is that something that we, as a group, want? We voted to spend the money for this. Is this on the Water Street side of the Harbor Masters building enough?
What would go on the other side?
Oh, maybe the same thing, because it would be then people coming over the bridge
Okay.
and people going toward the bridge. It would be angled that way so people could see, hey, you're now entering this a National Register district. I could have just answered my own damn question, but you see it both coming and going on Bridge Street.
Okay.
So,
All right.
as opposed to being mounted on the Water Street side, because there's not any room on the Bridge Street side of the building. And it's a good idea not to have it on private property anymore.
So it wouldn't be like the date when this became a National Register district and a little history or anything. It would be the exact same thing, but on the other side.
So, we could put the other side, have a little bit more, granted on, 1980, whatever. And I don't think we did we did not do the QR code, which I think is a nice thing to do if people want to, because it will be, if it's mounted, it'll be much more accessible to pedestrians, kind of walking up the street there. So we could keep this, which is a beautiful sign, on one side, and on the other side simply have another line and a QR code. That's another possibility, if people think that's a good idea. I'm sorry to go so long here, guys.
And then we would need to have some information on, that the QR code goes to, something maybe about, how many buildings are historic, what time periods they represent.
Maybe the
How
boundaries.
did we get this distinction?
Yeah,
What qualified Paid Narrum to be this?
it's a great idea. Yeah, and maybe
I
have
like
a little map that shows the boundaries of the village and that kind of thing.
Right.
Yes, Beth?
This would be a sign that goes in the ground?
Yes. That's what I'm proposing. It's
Now,
not the
would
way
that
it
have
is
to go
now.
through the building department?
So I talked to Tim
Yeah.
after the meeting, and he said, it's all fine. The select board said, fine, you can put it there, and he said that he would have his guys help with the mounting. So, seemed pretty agreeable. What do we feel about that? Do we feel like do you want to just stay with the mounting on the side of the building, or do you want to do something a bit more adventurous?
More adventurous.
Okay, that's good. We're going to take a vote in a minute. I always want to get some comments. Sue?
That Paid Narrum is not the only village. So I guess there's a sign in Russell's Mills, there's Bliss Corner, there's Hicksville. So is this opening up a can of worms? Because I don't think Bliss Corner has a business district or any way of pooling funding for another sign, nor would Hicksville. So
Okay.
I think that, in all fairness, I would think that there's signage from the 350th in each of those places, but there's no special sign about the National Register or any of that for the other two.
Okay. Okay, well, we have already voted on this, we already have this. I guess what I'm proposing to add would be something at the discretion of the PBA. So in spending their funds, I can't help it that the other ones don't have their business association, but.
Well, there's
anyway,
nothing to stop the business association from putting up a sign.
That's true. That's a good point.
The other thing we could do is, this could be what we do this year, and then next year, we could pick another one and do that one the next year, and go around until everybody has one.
But
If that
then
was
where do
something
we
that
get
they
the
wanted.
funding from? Are we going to CPC?
Well, we could just do this, which is $125. We can afford that with our budget.
One a year.
Yeah, that sounds like a reasonable cadence, and we can,
I think they already have the display and signage in each of those locations that were done for the 350th, unless, I know they do in Hicksville.
right. No, I know that.
So,
But we're talking about, this is, you know, the background, this sign was there
Right.
before, and so I guess what I'm saying is it okay for this commission to go further with PBA funds and town effort to put a sign in the ground? If we make a similar offer to other districts in the next couple, 3 years, is my thought. I know Phil's, yes, I don't.
I think that it would require someone to look to see where you would post the sign, where the sign would be attached to which building, if there is a building, or if it's gonna be freestanding. I mean, there are a lot of.
This sign or other?
No, the other
ones?
villages, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know how organized they are and if they have their own councils or boards or budgets or anything like that at all.
No.
So.
Are
Yes,
we,
Phil?
are we in charge of the scenic roads?
No,
No?
no.
So
We're not really in
who's-
charge of anything, not very much.
The signage for cemeteries?
Yes, signage
Yes,
for
that, yeah, that,
cemeteries,
yeah.
yeah.
We have-
Well,
Because, all right.
this was originally an idea I got from you. Do you have any thoughts that you want to share?
You see what you started?
There are pluses and minuses to both concepts. Put it on the wall and it's there. The back side of the existing kiosk sign has information about Paid Narren Village and its historic little houses. And so there is some verbiage already there on the backside. Granted, probably not a lot of people read the backside, but there are pictures and there is information there already. If you do a freestanding sign, it could tend to look like the Southworth, the old library, which has signs and banners all over the place. And if you've looked at that building lately, it's become like Sign City. And I think too much is too much and less is more.
Okay.
But I can see where it would be useful to have information. And in the Macris database, there's a lot of information about the National Register District. And there is a map that shows exactly where the buildings begin and end. There is a listing of all the properties, which I gave you last month. So we know exactly which buildings are included, but it's like 10 pages of information. Whereas to look at the map, you can kind of see it visually better. So there's pluses to having a backside that has more information and gives more information. To have two of the same thing coming and going, that's good too. So I think maybe you just need to think about it for a little bit and in your own mind decide which of the pluses are more of a plus and which of the negatives are more of a negative.
Okay.
Because there are a lot of options that you could do.
Okay. Well, let's do this then. I appreciate that. Let's go ahead and just table this for the time being. And I'll talk to the PBA again and see what their thoughts are, but we can just table this for now. There's no rush to do anything right now. I would like to see, well, I thought it would be a good idea, your idea, to tie it into the 40th anniversary, to tie the 40th anniversary into something that they're doing this year, but really, it's not, necessarily our job to sync anything up with what a commercial organization's doing. So, anyway, let's go ahead and table that. Any other business that we have for us?
I just want to mention one thing briefly, because I don't want to hold everybody up, because we've already been in here long enough. I received a phone call, it was referred to me through the building department. Does anybody know where the Carter Farm is, or used to be? It was, I'm not seeing any
Is that
any
Morton Ave-
recognition.
Is that Morton Avenue around there?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Right opposite the entrance to UMass Dartmouth, that was the Carter Dairy Farm. And Nancy, who is a granddaughter, explained that there's a sign over at the pond at the university that says it was the former site of the King Farm, which was the King, Carter, and Schofield were all part of the acquisition or the taking the eminent
Possession.
domain for UMass. And they just may have gotten something confused, because she says with great certainty that her father dug the pond.
Oh,
So it was part of their farm, and she would like it to be, changed if possible.
the
So
sign is not an historic sign, it's one that they made to
That-
reflect their knowledge of, their thinking about the history?
I guess I would have to find out who the university clearly put the sign up.
Okay.
But I need to find out how to get to the bottom of it and why they chose to use the King Farm and not the Carter Farm, so.
That's a good call, so maybe their facilities management. Is that something that
That's-
you're gonna dig into?
I'll do it because it's
Thank you.
related to farming and I'm on the AgCom, so it makes sense
Thank you.
that I do it.
Okay, great. Anybody else, any other business for this meeting today in July? Okay, we've got a couple things we tabled, but otherwise, we're good to go. Can I get a motion to
So moved to adjourn?
adjourn, right?
Can I
All in
second?
favor?
Oh, did you need-
Thank you all for
didn't
coming.
need a second?
Oh, I think Phil seconded.
Did you?
I second it.
Okay.
If he didn't, he'll say he did, okay?
Okay.
No, I'm just
Do
teasing.
it again.
Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Okay. All in favor? Okay.